My name is Lisa Doval, and I work with Oconee County Parks and Recreation Department. I'm currently the Deputy Director for the park system, and I've been here for a little over 10 years. I've always enjoyed just participating in sports and grew up playing sports. Enjoyed competing on a team and believed in the value of sports for youth development, so it seemed like a good career path. I actually started in health and PE and taught high school and coached, and when I went back and got my master's degree in education, I just kind of fell into a job opportunity with Parks and Rec and found a passion that I really enjoyed. I still had the opportunities to work with coaches and work in a sports environment in just a little bit different areas. My role is all the programming aspect within the park, whether it be our youth and sports adult programs, after school programs, summer day camps, special events for the communities, like our July 4th event, fireworks event, also park rentals, tournaments, all those type things. There's also to not only supervise our staff that's in charge of those programs, but also to deal with the budgeting aspects, future park planning, dealing with user groups. I work with the Board of Education that we have a partnership with, sponsorship, policy development, all those type things. We have, I can say that we currently have a software system that we utilize, that we input everything that happens in the park. So if it is a planned event, whether it be a rental or it be one of our own events, we have a reservation computer system that we utilize so that as we're booking, we know if their facility is available or not. So we've been doing that for some time. We also do a monthly calendar sync meeting with our staff, and we kind of talk about our 30, 60, 90 days out of what's coming up so that we all are on the same page. There's a lot going on in our park, so it's really critical that we all know what's going on so that we don't double book. It has happened before, but our priority of usage is pretty set. Our programs that we coordinate have first priority. So they have first priority of the park usage. That's followed by the Board of Education. So if we're not using a facility and the Board of Ed wants to use it, they have second priority. Third priority would go to any of our user groups. So we have a user group agreement, for instance, with the Oconee County Little League. So we've got several of those that are youth associations. They have third priority of park usage. That would be followed by a park rental, a paid park rental, and then it's open kind of first come, first served basis. So if there is a double booking or some type of issue, then we follow that priority of usage. I would say that as a coach, a lot of what you do is provide guidance and feedback on trying to get the team or the players to improve, and you kind of do that as a supervisor. That's basically what you do, is you're continually coaching your staff so that you can get the best out of them and that everybody's on the same page and that everybody's working toward one goal. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest things. You have to make prompt decisions when you're a coach. You've got to be able to look at the big picture and not just focus on something small. And I think all those skills are necessary, in order to be a good supervisor. I'd say my personal philosophies would just be to treat others as you want to be treated, and when you deal with the public, that's customer service priority number one. So as long as you're treating other people with respect, I think that's how you get the best outcomes. I think that's really important. And other than that, I just feel like you should enjoy what you do, and hopefully you're making a difference, a positive difference in whatever it is you decide to do. Not really. I wouldn't say that I've dealt with really any ethical issues. We'll hire someone pending the outcome of their drug screen, so that has been an issue a time or two. We've also dealt with community leaders that, prominent people in the community that have tried to influence our selection decision, and so that's something that we've dealt with. I've dealt with a young professional who told an applicant that we typically hire college students. And there's a lot of truth to that. We do, but we don't hire because someone's in college. We'll hire someone that's retired. It doesn't really matter how old they are, as long as they're at least 18. They could be 70, and that's okay too. So that could become an issue because of basically what you're saying is it's kind of an ageism thing that we won't hire you if you're too old. So little things like that, but nothing truly major. We do have a human resource department that handles a lot of those type issues. Because 90% of our coaches are parents, so they're all volunteers. When you're working in Parks and Rec, most of your coaches are the parents of those kids that are out there on the field. We've dealt with, I've been working in Parks and Rec for almost 15 years now, so you see a lot of disrespect a lot of times when things get competitive, whether that be to the official that's on the field or in the gym or whatever the case is, or so you'll have inappropriate language, you'll have issues where someone says something that's threatening to someone else. We've had issues where coaches followed an official out into the parking lot. I've had issues where there's been physical fights, whether it be between two players or parents. We've had to call the law enforcement out to the park before. So a lot of those things have been fairly minor, really, on the big scale. But they do happen in the heat of the moment, and people say and do things that you wouldn't think that they would do in youth sports. But it does happen, and you see it all the time. We do a lot of things to try to prevent those. So we try to do a lot of the stuff on the front end in terms of we do criminal background checks on all our volunteers to help weed some things out. That we also require all our volunteer coaches to go through National Youth Coaches Sports Association training. Kind of basically tells you how to be a coach and what to do and not to do and how to behave. We make at least one parent in every household go through the Parent Association of Youth Sports. Kind of the same thing, tells them how to be a good parent when they've got a child that's participating in sports. So all those things, that we have signage posted up in terms of our code of conducts throughout the different fields and things like that to help remind our spectators and our coaches and players and those type things. So that helps prevent a lot of that. The main thing I could think of when you talking about environmental concerns is we have dealt with like wetlands, and so like for instance in building the park, that our newest park at Coney Veterans Park, we do have a wetland area in this park that we had to avoid, and it did change and alter some of our master planning for the park. So those type things in order to avoid and keep those resources natural. There is also in Coney County the Hard Labor Creek Reservoir, not part of the Parks and Rec, but it did affect us. Because of that reservoir development, they needed to have some compensatory mitigation areas, and they use parkland to do that. So our Heritage Park does have some areas that have some mitigated areas in there where we cannot change or alter our current trail system and how we approach some of the streams in those areas. They did come in and do some restoration in some of those stream beds and those type things to help improve those areas and those mitigated areas. So those type things we've dealt with environmentally. The biggest thing that we've pushed probably over the last 5 years is really our recycling efforts. We've really tried to just put more emphasis on recycling to our patrons and put more opportunities for them to recycle. So increasing the amount of recycling bins Whereas before we just basically had them for our staff within our park offices, and now you'll see it throughout the park system. That's probably the biggest thing we've done to help waste management. Well, I think that Parks and Recreation uh, are really an essential service to the community. They not only enhance the quality of life of the citizens, but they're also an economic engine to a community, whether it be sports tourism or just the fact that a lot of people like to move to a community that has a strong park system. It's kind of like having a good school system. Parks play an important role in people relocating to areas. So there is the economics of having a good park system, and the value of property can go up around park areas, those type things. There's environmental benefits just in terms of maintaining and keeping some natural resources. But probably the biggest thing is just the quality of life, I think, that we provide. I would say someone that's interested in sports, my biggest advice would just be find whatever sports arena it is that you really want to work in and just go for that. Like, find what is it that you'll truly enjoy, and then try to get out there and get as much experience as possible now while you're young so that you can actually land the job that you're looking for.